In society today, climate change has become very difficult. It has ended politicians' chances of winning races. It has provoked fighting between the two parties, Democrats and Republicans, and it may have even ended a personal relationship. Today I want to talk about a specific aspect of climate change, something known as a heat island. According to the United States Environmental Protection Agency, a heat island is a densely populated area that is actually warmer than the surrounding area. For example, places like Chicago or New York, the city itself might actually say be 75 degrees, but the suburbs could only be 72. Now that may seem like only a couple degrees, but I'll get to that later. The reason I want to talk about climate change is because some people don't even believe in it. And I have a case here in heat islands that proves that climate change is real. Some of you may have even grown up in cities like Madison or Milwaukee or even Chicago and didn't even know that they were actually heat islands. Now, this worries me because heat islands can actually be potentially dangerous, and I will get into that later also. But I'm going to touch on the strategies that agencies and universities have come up with to help better educate the public. They have come up with medical plans, things like how to prevent heat exhaustion, heat stroke, things like that, what you can do to reduce the amount of energy that you use, and just where to find this information in general. The first thing you have to do is educate yourself. Now, as I stated before, the United States Environmental Protection Agency, they're basically the best of the best. What they do is they create these outreach programs and they provide tools and guidance where you can go teach yourself and you can educate yourself on what a heat island is, what to do, and you're seeing things like heat stroke or just symptoms that are leading to heat exhaustion. And the way they came up with the idea to have these outreach programs is they did a case study. This case study took place in 1988, and it included 5 large cities. To name a few, Chicago, Salt Lake City, and Baton Rouge. And what they did in this case study is they put an outreach program in each of these cities, and they tried to educate the public and let them know what's going on and what a heat island is and what it all encompasses. Now, sadly, this program ended because they ran out of money. But in the 3 short years that they were afloat, they actually reduced the percentage of heat strokes, heat exhaustion, and heat sickness by a pretty good amount. And what we should take from this is that just by giving out knowledge to the public and giving everyone the ability to educate themselves on what a heat island is and what it all involves, we could reduce the effects and just make it better. And in addition to helping the public with these plans and ways to prevent or reduce the amount of energy you can use, National Geographic took it to a whole nother level. They went and they looked at how different countries deal with heat islands. What they did is they went to 2 different places. They went to Italy and they went to Greece, and they found two completely different styles of preventing this. The first one is called a green rooftop. And what this is, it sounds pretty simple, but what it is you take plants or grass or flowers and you plant them on the top of your roof. Now, before I get into this, I just want to state that most rooftops, like apartment buildings or even work buildings in these bigger cities like Chicago, are black. They're either asphalt or they have tar tops or stones. And because of this, because of the dark color, they absorb a lot of light. And what happens then is that light and heat is transferred into the building and down to the roads, and it creates kind of a heat barrier around that building. Well, then obviously all the buildings surrounding it are doing the same thing. So the city itself becomes warmer. And so the city itself could be 75 degrees because of all this heat from the buildings and the light coming into these buildings and transferring to each other. But you could step outside the city, you could be in a suburb, say, and it could be a 3-degree difference. Now, it may not seem like a lot, but it's creating a bubble around the city, essentially a heat island. Now back to the green roof. By planting grass or plants or growing flowers, the heat itself is absorbed by these objects. Instead of being able to hit the building, it's not able to heat it up. And this helps greatly because it doesn't completely take away the energy transferred in the building, but it takes all the most strong rays of light and everything. And that was found in Greece. Now moving on to Italy, the society found that they literally just paint their rooftops. Now, this may seem kind of weird, but what you do is you choose a shade of blue, like a lighter blue, or a shade of white, and you literally just paint your rooftop. Now, like I stated before, the black is what draws in the heat, the darker colors. These lighter colors reflect more of the light, but they still allow some heat to get in. So the heat, but it's just not as strong. So instead of having a really warm building, you're getting kind of like just a warm building. But overall, the green rooftop is the better decision. But what we should take from this is simply by just planting flowers, growing some grass on a roof, or even just going up and painting, we can mitigate the effects of a heat island. And it's just as simple as that. And all it could take is just becoming a green thumb. Now, on the other hand, Carnegie Mellon University and Princeton have teamed and taken on a more medical approach. What they've done is they work to provide cities with a tool to help understand how heat islands can enhance medical conditions that heat is not good for, things like heat stroke, heat exhaustion, and just any other medical problem that could be enhanced by heat. And the way they went about this is professors Matteo Pozzi and Mario Burgess of the Department of Environmental Engineering have developed a statistical model, they call it. And what it does is it examines the temperature changes over time and space. And what they can learn from this, so far they have been very accomplished actually. And what they found out that is if they succeed in creating a better warning system for populations that have, say, more elderly people or people or a population that has a higher population percentage of people who have had strokes, you're able to create a better warning system and help them possibly even save their life or prevent another stroke. And that's why by researching these effects of temperature over a period of time, we're able to help the public. Now, in review, heat islands are very dangerous. But we can combat them with proper knowledge. And like I said, changing our surroundings, having a green thumb, growing stuff on our rooftops, painting our rooftops, just reducing the amount of energy. And even just by doing proper research, fully understanding what a heat island is and what it encompasses, we can mitigate the effects of a heat island and just reduce them in general. So in closing, I would like to leave you with a question. If you grew up in a city like Milwaukee or Chicago or even Madison, have you ever noticed that if you went downtown, I'm going to use Madison for example, say you went downtown Madison by like Camp Randall, you notice the temperature is very warm. But then you go out to a suburb, say to visit your family or some relatives, the temperature itself might actually be cooler. And you may not have known it at the time, but you were experiencing the effects of a heat island. Thank you.